We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180. Our guests in studio, two of the fantastic, dynamic real estate professionals in our town, Diana Williams with RE/MAX of Tehachapi and Heidi Gray with Miramar here in Bakersfield. So we were talking about, Diana, short sales?
Yes, we were talking about that, Marty.
Okay, so and you had another comment you wanted to make about a short sale.
I did want to make a comment about it. One of the things I would like to say after accusing the banks of not getting them done is that we are seeing some vast improvement in them getting the short sales completed. My very first short sale after the downturn in the market took over a year to get an approval on, and that was a frustration for myself, the seller, and the buyer. The most recent ones I've been doing are taking roughly 60 days, and I even had one approved in 3 weeks. So that is a great improvement. It's my understanding that the lenders have finally hired on enough people to manage this and to handle it. I know that Bank of America said when this first started, they only had 2 people in their short sale department. Now they've hired and trained massive quantities of people that can handle them.
Okay, now let me ask you ask the two of you a question on this, because there may be something here that I don't quite understand. But my assumption always was, Hey, now that you're awake, take the Valium, settle down. My understanding always was that on a short sale, if, let's say the bank lost $100,000, because it's an FHA loan, isn't the bank going to get their money from the government anyways? So the bank isn't really losing anything, are they?
Right, they're government-backed, so they're making their money regardless of what they do. Okay,
so it's not I don't want to slander the banks, but it's not necessarily in their best interest to push this thing through. It really doesn't matter when it goes through. They're going to get paid anyways, regardless.
That's true.
Okay. I mean, again, that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the only people that lose are the people that are selling the home.
That probably want to stay in their home and tried to do a loan modification on their home, and the banks did not cooperate with them in that process, so they short sell their home.
Ooh, loan modifications, Heidi. That's another story.
Yeah, I thought that the government, back to the government now, but I thought the government had a program where they were going to offer loan modifications, and even Bank of America came out recently and met with a bunch of people about restructuring their loans. Did anything happen with either of those programs?
I don't anticipate anything on the new restructuring happening for at least a year, and who knows? It's going to take them time to figure it out.
And the problem with that is the only people that they'll do the restructuring for are those that aren't paying their mortgages or won't pay their mortgages.
And they don't qualify under the
they're the ones that qualify.
Right,
do?
Like Clay, he wouldn't qualify.
Because I pay my bills.
He'd never get a restructuring because he pays his bills.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Makes no sense.
And that's really sad that you think the people that are doing things the right way cannot make any corrections or any changes or get any benefits. It's only those that do things the wrong way that are able to benefit in this society today. Thank you, President Obama.
I knew that name was going to be brought out sometime in this 20 minutes.
Well,
so
it's true. You know,
true.
Let's take from the rich and give to the poor.
You know, I'm not going to argue with you. So, is it tougher to qualify for loans? Are you finding that?
Yes, it's a longer process. Their guidelines are ever changing. It seems daily. Sometimes you're getting a call from the lender saying, "Oh, well, we've got to change this, and now we need this," and they're really nitpicking the loans. And so when you think you're qualified, then 3 days later they're saying, "Well, we need this paperwork." Okay, well now we need this paperwork, and it's never in an order that makes any sense whatsoever.
And Heidi, don't you find that maybe sometimes it's not that they discover they need something else, but they just didn't know they needed it, because some of our processors these days just are not trained in this industry. I think all the good processors got out of the business when all of the new regulations started, and it's frustrating.
It is frustrating, and the lenders are not making the money that they were once making on a loan, so they're not working as hard to get the loan done quickly.
Right, and when you go to the big organizations, the larger banks, those people aren't even making commissions on their loans. They're just getting paid a salary, so they have no real interest in getting it done.
They have no skin in the game.
Yep. There's too many people involved in buying a home, starting with a real estate agent and working down to the fellow that does the inspections, the escrow companies, the bug company. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
But that's our job as realtors to coordinate that.
Correct.
We're having a conversation with two real estate professionals, Diana Williams and Heidi Gray. So when it comes to tougher loans, I know my daughter up in the Bay Area is looking for a house, and they're now second guessing her income, which they didn't do in the past. I mean, way back when in the 70s, I remember they wouldn't even count a woman's income because she had the potential of having kids. Are they taking a second look at that second income now?
I haven't had that experience.
Really? Okay.
Marty.
Neither have I.
She actually had that experience up in the Bay Area.
Wow.
Where she's got 3 kids and she's in her mid-30s, but they took a second look at her income because she's got the kids and she has the potential to have more kids.
Interesting.
What about the stated income? Didn't they used to sell homes based on stated
that's
income?
long gone.
Yeah.
That's
No
part of the
such
reason
thing.
why we're in the situation we're in.
You're dating yourself.
Oh, you
now,
think that's
Clay.
part of the reason we're in this situation we're in?
Yes.
So how else is it? Do you see it being tougher to qualify for a loan with the banks?
The FICO is probably one of the biggest things. They're wanting the FICO score to be a higher score than it used to
What's
be.
FICO?
The credit score.
The credit score.
And what number are we looking at now?
620.
620. Okay.
And it depends on the lender, and it depends on the type of loan.
So does your score determine the percentage rate you're going to get when you buy the home?
Yes.
Yes.
And what would be a good percentage rate to get the best or lowest interest rate?
Well, it depends on if you're getting a 30-year or a 15-year loan. You know, if you're getting a 15-year loan, you can get down into the 3s. That's a great interest rate right now.
Do they still have a way you can buy down with points, by paying points?
You
Yeah.
can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, in a way, I can see it from the bank's point of view, you know, why they wouldn't necessarily want to make loans at such low interest rates, because over the course of the next 30 years, you know interest rates are going to go up dramatically. So here they are, they're going to be stuck with a 3 or 4% interest on this 30-year note, when all of a sudden interest rates could be 10, 12, 15% over the course of the next 30 years.
It could be, but you're going to have less buyers in that pool of the interest rate being higher.
Well, that's
so they're going to make less loans.
Yeah, that's a segue to my next question is, do you think interest rates are going to go up this year?
I don't know about this year, but eventually they're going to have to start making their way up.
No, we aren't going to have any choice. We are going to see them go up. Let's just hope that we don't get into the dreaded 18% like we saw in
Yes.
the early 80s. That was
Yes.
just devastating to the industry.
Yes, it was.
Heidi's too young to know that, I think.
I was 5.
You were 5.
I have the same problem, Heidi.
Yeah, maybe. And Diane and I were both selling real estate at that time. But I don't want to be a forecaster of gloom, but what would happen if real estate rates went up and the banks decided to release a lot of their inventory? What are we looking at then?
Yikes.
Yeah. I think it depends. It really depends on how high the interest rates go. If they're, you're looking at 5 or 6%, then you're still going to have a big pool of buyers. But if it goes above that, then people are not going to qualify for as much because their payment's going to be higher with that type of interest rate.
One thing that's always impacted the economy, I believe, has been new construction. And how are we doing with new construction of homes?
What new construction?
Oh,
Yeah,
That answers that question.
that's right. You hear crickets right now because it really has come to almost a screaming halt.
It has, and you cannot build for the price that you can buy a house these days. It's just not logical. I don't know about in Bakersfield, but in Tehachapi, it's going to cost you $140 a square foot to build, and some of our houses are selling for as little as $60 a square foot, and that includes the land.
I completely agree.
well, you mean the land used to be a separate item?
Well, the $140 a square foot is just the contractor. You have to own the land free and clear prior to that.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Incredible. So, do you think the market's hit the bottom, or do you think it's going to go down even further?
I don't think the market has hit the bottom.
Really? Diana, do you agree with that?
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think we're pretty close to bottom in Tehachapi. We're still not seeing as many houses coming on the market, and we're not seeing as many houses with the little signs in the window showing that the banks are going to be taking them over.
I think I'm inclined to agree with Heidi. I think the market's going to go down a little more. Maybe not so much in Tehachapi, but I think Bakersfield, because I think there's a glut of homes on the market that are just waiting to appear on the market.
Right, and you have a lot of people that have initiated a short sale but have not yet completed the short sale or the foreclosure of their homes. So you have a whole nother wave that's going to be coming on of homes that are going to be listed eventually.
So would it be better to take a short sale or a foreclosure?
Short
As
sale.
far as your credit goes, it's a short sale.
Really? Either way, you lose, right?
Either way, you lose.
Right.
So, excuse me, I'm sorry. So you do think the market's going to go down a little bit?
I do.
Okay, and you don't.
I don't.
Excuse me.
But Heidi, do you have a lot of shadow inventory in Bakersfield?
We do have a lot of shadow inventory.
And we have very little of it in Tehachapi.
What's shadow inventory?
Homes that are not
Homes that the banks have not foreclosed on or have not put back on the market.
Right, that are just sitting there vacant and nobody's living there, nothing's happening with it. They're just waiting.
Diana Williams from Remax and Heidi Gray from Miramar, thank you so much for being here. We've got to do this again. This was fun.
Yes, thank you,
Definitely.
Marty.
We'll do it closer to the election, and we'll take a look and see what the real estate market's like, maybe before or maybe just after the election.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
We'll be back in 167 hours on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk, 1180.